Last year, the very first biopic about Donald Trump released, called The Apprentice, starring Sebastian Stan, who now claims that he has been blacklisted in his industry for his involvement in the project. And it was not a kind portrayal of Trump. In fact, Trump's team made legal threats for defamation involved in the way that they wrote this movie. They showed a scene where he was assaulting one of his ex-wives in the movie, which was not even confirmed by, I believe it was Ivana, the wife who originally alleged that in a divorce proceeding and retracted it. And now there is a new biopic being made about Trump that allegedly is going to portray him in a much more respectful way. And we can glean from the people who are currently involved in the project, who are Trump supporters, they're at least aiming to play nice with him. And
I also want to point out that Sebastian Stan was not blacklisted. He can say whatever he wants.
Well, his evidence for that was saying, oh, I was slated to be on Variety Actors on Actors, but none of the other actors wanted to talk to me because I'm in this Trump movie.
They wouldn't let me bloviate with them.
Yeah, well, I think at the time, this was like late 2024, before the election took place. And these actors rightly assumed that, you know, it's not a good look to be talking shit about Trump right now because he's hot right now. He's not the object of universal hatred that he used to be in Hollywood. Yes, he's still hated, and there is a core group of celebrities that still have Trump derangement syndrome, but it's dwindling, and people may be ready to produce and also support and watch a movie about this man that isn't completely tar and feathering him as a monster, a sociopath.
Yeah. I see it, and I kind of like the idea of making both movies and letting Sebastian Stan play Trump in both of them.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I saw somebody in the chat mention that he deserves a multi-part docu-series. He probably has had a life that's more indicative of like a full-length series rather than just a movie.
Well, the question is, like, would Trump choose to be involved in a project like that? Probably not.
Well, it would be better if it were unauthorized. Like, that would be more exciting if it was unauthorized, because then you'd have like everyone getting really mad about it, and that would bolster views and
like Madonna
ratings.
wants to make a movie about herself. I don't want to watch the Madonna movie like made by Madonna because she's going to leave out all the good stuff.
Yeah, her tour movie was boring.
Yeah, like if they're going to make a Trump movie that's positive towards him, I can at least assume that if it's going to be generally positive towards him and it's unauthorized, I'm going to take the negative stuff in that with a lot more honesty than I'm going to believe one that's just inherently negative from the off.
I would be definitely interested in seeing a Trump, like a Trump series, you know, kind of
like a fictional series.
Yeah, fictional series.
That's cool.
I'd want to see something though that's sort of like a cross between reality TV and The Apprentice, The Apprentice and The West Wing. Remember that show with Jed Bartlett and
Olivia would
Martin
love
Sheen?
that. That's Olivia's
and
favorite
I think
show
that
of
would
all
be
time.
I think that would be very cool and interesting, and you'd have like all this castle drama, but you'd also have like in The Office, you know, when they talk straight to the camera. You know, I think that would be
fun.
That would be fun, and it would be interesting, and you would have like all these different perspectives. You'd have like, what's his name, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, like suddenly talking to the camera, and he'd be like, well, Trump wanted to play his playlist, and we respect the man, so we decided. Because he was in Saudi Arabia today, and he's playing that Lee Greenwood, Proud to Be an American, and it's like this room full of sheikhs and whatever with their whole like outfits, you know, with the things, and there he is doing that.
A mobile McDonald's in Saudi Arabia right now.
In Riyadh,
Trump.
yeah.
Wow.
But I would I think that would be a great series, you know?
Yeah.
And you'd have people like popping up from all over, you know. I think it would be really good.
See, that's a great idea, and I would be dying to watch that, but they just don't have the guts or creativity anymore. Even
well, you'd need
with
like
the Apprentice biopic,
yeah.
it was just really a smear piece. It was a hit piece all along. And then with this one, it just is reheating the nachos of the last one with very little waiting period in between, and I'm just not interested anymore. They also have this insane budget for it. $100 million for a biopic is crazy work.
That's okay. So I looked into it more. There's lots of movies that have been made about people that are around that budget.
I say that because
Though,
way more people are interested in watching a biopic about a celebrity like Michael Jackson than they are interested in watching one about Trump.
I will
also,
concede that Trump, being divisive as he is, kind of makes that limited.
Well, because you'd need somebody who's able to humanize Trump in a real way.
No, I'm saying that
the tender moments and
the $100 million budget is harder to justify when somebody is so polarizing that you've cut your audience in half from the beginning. Now, there have been movies made about other political figures that are in that same budget range, but who aren't as polarizing as Donald Trump. Therefore, you are probably right that the budget is too high to justify.
The Apprentice movie had a budget of $16 million compared to this $100 million. That's crazy.
So The Apprentice was never meant for wide release and was only going to get a limited theater release. They're not making a $100 million movie and not expecting this to go to 4,000 theaters. This is going to be expected to be played at every major theater and make its money back.
Yeah.
But if you look at other movies, like other movies of the sort, like Ford vs. Ferrari cost $100 million to make. American Gangster cost $100 million to make. The Wolf of Wall Street cost $100 million to make.
Good movie.
And those are less divisive figures.
Yeah.
Jordan Belfort is not as divisive as Donald Trump. Public Enemies, $100 million. I'm like the only person who likes that movie, though.
Is that like about
it's the Michael, it was the Michael Mann movie. But it's about John Dillinger.
Oh, okay.
But the point being that when you have an audience that's been cut in half because so many people hate the guy, they're not going to, especially if the movie's being polite to him, you'd think that a movie that doesn't like him would be more liable to make more money. What they should have done is made a $100 million movie that hates him, but even that wouldn't work because the people that hate him don't have any money.
Well, they also probably aren't even interested in watching a hate movie about Trump.
It's easy to get people to read articles about stuff they hate. It's a whole nother thing to get people to spend.
They'll click on a YouTube video that's hating on Trump. They're not going to go to the movie theater and think about how much they hate Trump for 2 hours.
But that would be boring too.
Yeah.
If it was just like, because Trump is on TV all the time, right? Like we see him constantly. He's like, they've got a YouTube feed, they've got the Twitter feed, like you see him all the time, but what you don't see are those personal moments, and those are the ones that like really go viral, like when you see him in the golf cart talking to like one of his, I don't know, golf friends or whatever, and they're doing golfing, you know, like that goes well, or like when you see him with his grandkids, you know.
I think they should remake
people
Richie
like
Rich.
to see who he is without all of the pomp and circumstance.
should
Richie Rich about Barron Trump.
Yes.
Wow.
Trump being the dad.
We have a couple of 20s.
We have a 20 from Crispy Leg on Rumble. It's a Rumble rant. Says, I am happy to see you guys here. Now you can get more of the super chat, and I'm not funding YouTube.
We also got one from Crispy Leg on YouTube, though, saying, are you guys monitoring the Rumble chat?
I am.
Yes, just not as frequently as the YouTube chat. It's difficult to go between pages. But this is from the Italian producer Andrea Iervolino, who produced on Ferrari 2023 and To the Bone 2017. We understand the film will be kinder to POTUS than The Apprentice, and that was the one starring Jeremy Strong and Sebastian Stan. Trump's team famously took umbrage with that movie and tried to have it blocked from release around this time last year.
It's because they put it out before the election, and they would have seen it as a form of election interference to put something like that
which is
out.
kind of bullshit. But their company's description of the project says it's a major new biographical film centered on the life and legacy of Donald Trump, real estate mogul, television icon, the 45th and 47th president of the United States. And it's not clear if they've reached out to Trump's team to collaborate on it. But one of the collaborators includes Kia Morgan, the former manager of Stan Lee. And Morgan is a public Trump fan. His IMDb page currently lists Donald Trump Jr. as one of his clients. So perhaps that means that this is going to be a pro-Trump take on the biopic. And then they got a comment from Iervolino about the project saying, whether one agrees or disagrees with his politics, there's no denying Donald Trump's impact on the modern era. As a producer, I'm interested in exploring the deeper story of the man, the rise, the challenges, the resilience. Our goal is to deliver a film that is bold, balanced, and artistically ambitious.
I mean, that would be cool to see, but it would be very hard to market something like that. The trailer would have to be something really special to be able to show you equal sides of it without it feeling like it's leaning towards one side or the other. The director and the guy who's doing all your storyboarding is like, okay, so we have to have one scene where it's positive and one scene where it's negative, and then we cut to another scene where it's positive. There can be exactly two of each.
The only way this could happen is if you have an equal amount of liberals and conservatives involved in the project, which is unlikely. And it reminds me of the Ronald Reagan biopic that was released, I believe, last year. And when I watched that and gave our little like mini review on the show, I said it was basically a glowing review, like a puff piece on Reagan that said nothing negative about the man. And if there was anything negative about him in his private life, his family, it just wasn't addressed. It wasn't shown because the people making the Reagan biopic love Ronald Reagan. And that's
there was
as simple
a lot
as
of
that.
stuff. Like I remember being a kid when Reagan was president, and there was all this stuff about his son.
He had a terrible
being
relationship
like a whole
with
problem.
Yeah, with his son. It wasn't addressed at all. Literally, there was no portrayal of his children in the movie at all, even though that's a huge part of anyone's life.
Right.
And it was completely brushed over by the people who made the biopic because they're, Reagan stans. Like, they just will never address anything that possibly makes him look like a flawed human being, which I found cheap. And I find it cheap coming from Sebastian Stan's take on Donald Trump as well, that they completely portrayed him as just a monster, a psychopathic monster and a rapist. Like, try to just engage with him as a person. That's what Sebastian Stan was paying lip service to when he was in the process of promoting the movie. But when you look at the actual material, it's not what they accomplished.
The best thing they could do would be to drop the budget. If they were looking to actually portray him in a way that would be positive and you wanted people to come out to it, it wouldn't help with the box office, but make a movie on his foreign policy. That's usually something that he tends to shine on, maybe not on economic policy and tariffs right now. But as far as foreign policy, you'd be able to make... They love making political thrillers about foreign policy.
I want a Kim Jong-il biopic.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
That's what I want to see.
I would love to see that. And you could just...
It's hard to get information,
juxtapose, but there, stuff has come out.
Yeah.
There's like Dissidents who've come out and talked about it. You could juxtapose his life in his palace with eating all whatever food he wants with this starvation and famine in North Korea.
Now that I would be seated for.
Richie Rich, I'm telling you, remake Richie Rich with
simultaneously, they still have a documentary about Melania Trump in the works over at Amazon, which is an authorized project.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.